bookish friends, I hope you're well. Welcome back to my channel, or welcome if you are new. I'm here to do episode 2 of TBR Graveyard. Now, I'm having to redo this intro because I accidentally deleted my footage for the intro. I don't know how I done it, but anyway, it doesn't matter. So I'm here very quickly to intro this video. If you're not sure, TBR Graveyard is a concept that I came up with last year. I did one episode of it last year. It's going to be a little series on this channel. And TBR Graveyard is where all of my TBR rejects, shall we call them, it's where they go to lay to rest. You know, these are books that I put on my monthly TBRs and that I just don't get to. So they usually end up in TBR Graveyard. That's the idea behind it. And then in each episode of this, we will pick usually around 4 to read and to try and get through and to get my physical TBR down. That's the idea behind it. If you haven't seen episode 1, I will link it down below so you can go back and watch that. I originally, in the first one, I think I read like 5 books, and then since then I've attempted to do another episode. It didn't work out. I read 1 book and DNF'd another 3. I think I then went through and unhauled a couple that I just knew I wasn't gonna read. And then we've been left obviously with a nice little chunk of books. So the books that we are starting this video with, I don't have them with me right this second. I've chosen 4. I have filmed this vlog throughout the month of Feb, so it is romance themed, and I'm going to hand back over to past me, and the next clip you'll see will just be me update. It's going to be my first update. I'm not going to tell you what the books are. You'll see it as we go along. And yeah, that's it. I hope you enjoyed the vlog, and let's see what we read. Okay, I am back with an update. It's been 2 days since I started this vlog. The Bookshop on the Shore by Jenny Colgan. I read about 30 pages of this, if I'm being honest, and I just couldn't get into it. There's nothing wrong with the writing style. This is the first time I think I've read from Jenny Colgan. Her writing style is fine. I think potentially I could enjoy some of her other books. I've got another 2 on my shelves that I'm interested to pick up and see if it is just the writing style, or if it was just this particular story and characters in particular. So I started this the other day, and it's book 2 in a series. I think you can technically read them. You don't have to read them in order. I think they're slightly interconnected standalones, but I'm not 100% sure. So there was a few characters that were cropping up in the beginning, and I didn't really understand what was obviously their characters from the first book. I didn't understand what their relevance really was. And then our main character, I can't do it. I'm just bored. I do not care about these characters at all. Now, I know I've only 30 pages in. I've not even got to the male main character yet. But purely our female main character, I don't know what it is, but I just can't do it. I can't do it. I don't want to slog through 400 pages of this and put myself into a slump. We are not doing that this year. I've been adamant that I am going to DNF more. that's what we're doing. So this is a DNF. This is going on the pile to get rid of. And then I have started, so I picked up instead Falling Hard for the Royal Guard by Megan Clawson. Now, I believe this one was her debut. I did just read Love at First Night. Guys, I'm really sorry. I don't know what is going on with this weird kind of light in here. I don't really know what it is, but I can't change it right now. This was her debut. I did just read Love at First Night, as I mentioned, I think in my previous clip. I really enjoyed that one, and I am now 90 pages into Falling Hard for the Royal Guard. And again, I am enjoying her writing style. They just encompass London and the Tower of London and history, and I'm just enjoying it. I'm just having a good time. Are these books going to be for everybody? No, they're not. Are they a little slow to get into? The other one I read, Love at First Night, was a little slow to get into, and then it grew on me, and it ended up being really good. This one, there's more happening already from the beginning, but I'm really interested to keep reading, and I just love the behind the scenes of the Tower of London. We're following Margaret, or Maggie as she likes to be called. Her dad is a beefeater. He is one of the beefeaters of the Tower of London, and they live in the Tower of London. So she lives with her dad. And currently she works in the ticket booth. She's kind of a bit stuck. She doesn't know what to do with her life. She wants to get out. She loves history. She's recovering from the loss of her mother, and she has just ended up out of a toxic 7-year relationship. And we have just met. She's had a few encounters now with this royal guard. His name is Freddie, and we've just had like their first proper actual conversation, and I'm intrigued to see where it goes. So that's where I'm at. I'm gonna read more of this. I'm gonna come back to you when I've got more thoughts, or potentially when I've finished. Let's wait and see how I feel. And then we've obviously got our other 2 books that we chose, and I'll probably crack on with one of them. I don't know if I'm gonna I don't think I'm gonna replace The Bookshop on the Shore with a different book. I think I might just read these 3 and call it a day. But yeah, so this is where we're at. I'm going to read more of this, and I will come back to you when I have an update. I'm back with an update. I finished Falling Hard for the Royal Guard. I really enjoyed this one as well, same as her other book that I read, Love at First Night. This one, we got more sort of, there was a lot more behind the scenes in the Tower of London in this one, and just little snippets of history and the day-to-day kind of run-ins, and I just loved it. I loved that element. I loved our 2 characters. I've given this one 4 stars, same as the other one. I enjoyed them equally for different reasons. They've got such great characters, great side characters. Atmosphere, perfect. The vibes, great. The reason they don't get any higher for me, I would say, is that it's, like I was saying before, that element of it feeling a bit slow, like the pacing doesn't quite, it doesn't feel realistic. And I know it's not supposed to because it's a book, but we just don't get as many interactions between our love interests for me to really, really be behind them in the end. Like, obviously I am behind them, and it's lovely and it's fluffy and it's happy ending, and that's what I want, and that's what I got. But I just feel like there could have been more more of them actually together and them actually building what turns into this relationship. I feel like we focus more on our female main characters themselves, and more on sort of like their journey and overcoming like their fears or their problems, or, you know, which I love. I'm all for those type of books, which is why I did also have a good time. So yeah, finished this one, giving it 4 stars. Really enjoyed it. I'm now really looking forward to her new one that is coming out this year. So yeah, that's another one ticked off of the TBR Graveyard. Now, I have some other updates because it's been a few days. Yesterday I just read, I had a migraine all day, which is why I just didn't feel like speaking to the camera. But I started Weather Girl by Rachel Lynn Solomon. I started that yesterday. And I'll be perfectly honest, I read 20 pages. And again, there is absolutely nothing wrong with the writing. I'm sure this is a nice, cute little book. But I just couldn't get behind these. Like, I was just bored. I was so bored. And I know, like, you know, I know I'm only 20 pages in, right? But I could just tell I wasn't going to be invested in this story and in their romance and in whatever happens. And I went and had a look on Goodreads, and most people rated it kind of like 2 stars, 3 stars. And it was just, it seems like it's just a very average book. And I feel like I heard Gina describe it like that as well. And I just don't want to force myself through books that are just average. Like, I want to enjoy what I'm reading. You know, I want to be trying to get 4 stars and above. That's, you know, that's the aim. That I want to enjoy my reading experience. I don't know whether it's just me at the moment or it's not the right time. I don't know. But I do not rate books that I DNF. I do not think it is necessary. I do not think it is fair to the author. This book just wasn't my cup of tea. It wasn't for me. So we put it down, we move on. That's my kind of take on it anyway. Even if I read a book and I read nearly 90% of that book and then decided to DNF it, like, which I did, I think I did that with one book last year. I didn't rate the book because it was a me thing, you know? But yeah, so this one, another DNF, not feeling the vibes, not enjoying it. So then I decided to pick up the last book that I chose originally, and this is If I Never Met You by Vari McFarlane. Now, in the past, I find it easier to listen to her books, I think. She does have fantastic writing. I cannot take away the fact that she does have fantastic writing. I think I've read enough of her now, and I just don't think there are other books that I could be reading and enjoying. I don't want to have to slog through over 400 pages of something that, yeah, I probably will. I mean, I would probably end up, I know myself, I'd probably end up rating this like between a 3.5, maybe a 4, depending on what happened. But do I really want to slog all the way through it? When, again, I read about 20 pages and I already found our main female character insufferable. I'm just not going to do it to myself. I'm not going to do it to myself. So this is another book that I am just going to DNF. I'm just going to unhaul, get rid of it, be done with it. I'm sure other people will absolutely love this book. It sounded good. It's like a fake dating workplace kind of thing. But yeah, I just don't. And we meet the main male character as well, the MMC. We meet him off the bat as well when he's on a date like with another woman, and I just didn't get good vibes from either of them, so I'm not doing it to myself. So technically that would mean the vlog is over, but it means I only read one book. So I was like, I can't leave it there. I can't just read one book out of the 4 and be like, okay guys, bye, that's it. So I went back to my TBR Graveyard and I had a look, and I only have 3 other romance books in the graveyard. And I thought, you know what? I'm just going to extend the vlog. I'm going to keep reading, and I'm going to read these 3 as well. Hopefully. So the books we have left are The No-Show by Beth O'Leary. Now, I really like Beth O'Leary's writing. I loved The Flat Share. I absolutely adored The Switch. That was my favourite. The Road Trip was okay, probably my least favourite. So I'm intrigued to see what this one's about and if I like this one. Now, I know that I don't think this is really a romance. I feel like this is more, I've heard it more described as kind of like women's fiction, or like, you know, the romance is more, I don't know if it's a subplot or if it's just non-existent at all. But I'm intrigued to see what this one is about. Then we have The Dead Romantics by Ashley Poston. I've not read anything no, that's a lie. I've read a tiny little novella in that Meet Cute series thing, and I didn't like it. I didn't like, it was one of the least favourite ones out of all of those. But I am intrigued to see what this is about, or if I like it. I know a lot of people that have read it and reviewed it, and it's a relatively short one, just over 300 odd pages. But again, I know going into this that the romance is kind of a subplot, and this book follows more on grief. So I know that going in, so I'm hoping that because I know that, I'm going to enjoy it. And then the final one we have is The Cake Shop in the Garden by Carol Matthews. I've read a few books by Carol Matthews before. Again, this one looks like a chonker. It's over 400 pages by the looks of it. Yeah. But I'm intrigued. I normally like little books like this where they're kind of like set in the country and it's a woman starting over and, you know, trying to build herself up and stuff like that. I normally devour these type of books. So I'm hoping that I'm going to enjoy this one as well. And I think I'm actually going to start with this one. Flowers, Cakes and Chaos. What could go wrong? Sounds like a good time. Sign me up. Let's give it a go. I'm going to crack on with this, and I will come back to you when I'm maybe 100 pages in, halfway. Who knows? When I've got thoughts, I will come back to you with another update. I'm back with an update. It's been a few days, I think, since I last spoke to you. And I realised I kind of went on like tangents and waffles and in my other clips and my other updates. So I want to try and keep this one as brief as possible. I finished The Cake Shop in the Garden by Carol Matthews. This was not what I was expecting at all. And I don't necessarily mean that in a good way. By the way, I've just come in from the rain, so that's why my hair's all over the place and everything. It looks like a cute, fluffy romance. I don't know. This was really like, it was like slice of life. It was very much character driven. You know, and we spent a lot of, like, it's over 400 pages, and just, it was really slow to begin with, and I didn't like our main character, Faye. Faye runs a cake shop in her garden, and she's a full-time carer for her mum. She has a really lovely lady that works with her, a lovely Latvian lady. Her name is Leah. She was funny. There was 2 side characters in this. There was Leah, I think it's Leah, I'm not 100% sure on the pronunciation of her name, and an old man, Stan, a 93-year-old man called Stan. And I loved both of them. And purely those two characters is the only reason that I carried on reading, and a little bit because I wanted to see what happened, but it's those two that got the 3 stars. This book was just frustrating. Our main character Faye, she just felt like a doormat. She just lived her life to like please everybody else, but like just in a really frustrating way. So I could have very easily, after I think I was about 200 pages in, little tiny spoiler, there's a trope, or actually no, what's it? There's a trope that kind of ended up happening in here, and I didn't really like it. I don't like that trope. Normally, if there is that kind of thing in a book, I normally DNF. The only reason I didn't is because it was kind of this trope, it was happening on both sides. Faye has a boyfriend at the beginning of this book. He is very boring. He just doesn't care about her. Like, it's not even a real relationship what they have, but still. And then Danny Wilde walks into her life, and Faye questions every decision she's ever made, and I didn't like it. It was cute the way it ended, and and I'm glad everything worked out, because that they normally do in these books, but I just found a lot of the characters very frustrating, and I would have DNF'd this, if I'm being honest. When I got to about the 200 page mark and I was almost halfway, I was like, ugh. But part of me didn't want to DNF it because I was very aware that I'd already DNF'd 3 books in this particular vlog already. So I'm not having much luck. So I thought, the writing is good. It's very bingeable. It's very easily digestible writing in that sense. I've read I think I've read 1 or 2 other Carol Matthews books, and I remember it being the same kind of thing. Even though it is long and it is kind of slice of life and stuff, the pacing is quite nice. So that was fine. So yeah, finished that one. And then I started The No-Show by Beth O'Leary. I am now 212 pages in to this one, which is, I believe, 62%. This, we are following 3 women. It says 3 women, 3 dates, 1 missing man. We follow Siobhan, Miranda, and Jane, and they are all kind of like seeing him, or they have some kind of friendship or relationship or something with him, basically, is what I can gather. I don't know how I feel about this one. I don't like the idea of this man, cheating on these women and living these double, triple lives, whatever. And I know it's not as straightforward as that, but I don't like that. But I like these women. I want to keep reading because I want to know about these women, and I want to know I want to know if they all find out about each other. I want to know, apparently there's a twist. I know I've heard that much. So I want to know what that twist is. But currently this is also sitting at around a 3-star. Unless anything drastic happens in this last kind of like 38-ish% of the book, then I reckon this will also end up being a 3-star. And then the only one I've got left to read, it's over there, will be The Dead Romantics. So what I'll do is the next time I update you will probably be when I have finish this and when I finish the Dead Romantics, and then we'll wrap this vlog up. And yeah, that will be it. So I'm going to go back to reading this. Hopefully I can finish it tonight. If not, definitely by tomorrow. And I will come back with some thoughts on this and the Dead Romantics. I'm finally back to wrap up this vlog. It's actually been 2 weeks, I think, almost, since I last spoke to you, and since I tried to film this vlog, and I don't know what it is, but I think I was like 200 pages into the no-show and by Folio Read, and then I just kind of hit a brick wall. I finished this. I remember in my last clip I was saying to you, yeah, this is sitting at like 3 stars, and unless something drastic happens in like the last 38% of the book, blah blah blah. There was a twist, I did say that, and I didn't know what it was going to be, but it was very clever, and not all was as it seemed, as I did kind of say. But that wasn't what I was expecting, and then it made so much sense, and then I didn't dislike the guy as much. So I gave it a 3.75. That's what I did. Wasn't quite a 4-star because I did find it a little bit slow to get into in the beginning, and although it was relatively fast-paced, I don't know, there was just something missing from it. It was not my favourite from this author. I think I would say this probably has been my least favourite so far. And then I kind of hit a bit of a wall. I only had The Dead Romantics by Ashley Poston left to read, and I picked this up after finishing the no-show. I think I read about 40 pages, and then I just didn't want to read anymore. I just did not want to read. I think I'd put myself into a bit of a slump. I was listening to audiobooks, and I think I got through 2 audiobooks and 2 ebooks before I actually finally picked this up again. And it wasn't the book's fault. I just needed to I don't know what it was. I just think I was fed up of filming this vlog by that point. But this was my first time reading a proper novel by Ashley Poston. I've only read something small from her before. And in the beginning, this started out and I was a bit like, yeah, the writing's okay. I'm intrigued by the plotline. And obviously once, in this we follow, let me explain. In this we follow Florence Day, and she works in New York City. She is a ghostwriter for a very famous romance author, and she needs to get in her final manuscript for the final book that she's doing, and she is stuck. She does not believe in love anymore. She does not believe in happy endings. She's gone through a really bad breakup over a year ago, but she has a new editor. She has to go in and ask her new editor for an extension. He's a very handsome man. He says no. This is not a spoiler, by the way, because it's on the back of the book. Florence can see ghosts. Her family run a funeral home back in her small town. And tragedy strikes. She has to go home. And her editor knocks on her door. And he's a ghost. But not everything is as it seems, and they have these interactions, and she's back home, and, you know, she's got all this trauma from home, from when she was younger, and, you know, there's family issues and stuff like that. This book definitely centered more around grief. I knew that going in. But I wasn't expecting to love this as much as I did. Guys, you know, they say like right book, right time, like, you know, all that kind of stuff. This got me in my feels so bad, and I pretty much read all of it in one sitting. I read it on last Friday, all in one sitting, and devoured it. Her writing is beautiful. The characters were good fun, quirky, different, and I did predict where this was going from right from the off, but that didn't take away from the story for me personally. I loved it. I've given it 5 stars. So although this vlog has been a bit difficult, we're ending on a high because we're ending on 5 stars. So to recap, we had our first book was the DNF, the Bookshop on the Shore, Jenny Colgan, DNF. Then we read Falling Hard for the Royal Guard by Megan Clawson. That was a lot of fun. That was 4. I gave that one 4 stars. Then we DNF'd Weather Girl by Rachel Lynn Solomon. We DNF'd Wish I Never Met You by Vary McFarlane. I think that's what it's called. I can't remember. We DNF'd that. Then we picked up The Cake Shop in the Garden by Carol Matthews. I decided to extend the vlog. Cake Shop in the Garden by Carol Matthews. That one we gave 3 stars. The No Show by Beth O'Leary, 3.75. And then The Dead Romantics, 5 stars. So we had a 3 star, a 3.75, a 4 star, and a 5 star. Not bad going. Not bad going. Even though this did put me in a little bit of a slump, and I'm still trying to get out of it. But I think that's a little bit of life as well, and, you know, other things, work and stuff like that. But I have had fun doing episode 2 of TBR Graveyard. I'm going to wrap it up there. I'm not going to jibber jabber anymore. Comment down in the comments for me and let me know, did you enjoy any of these books? And let me know what's in your TBR graveyard, you know, what books that you just keep putting on TBRs and then don't read. I'd love to know. But thanks for watching. Thanks for staying if you've stayed this long. And I will see you next time. Take care.